Welcome back. You're watching The Fix. We are trawling through the newspapers, looking at what the big stories are, and of course going to be looking ahead. I've got the Sunday Sun here saying Beyonce fever hits Mzansi. Now, of course, this concert is happening, and it's part of this, global citizen concept. And Oprah, of course, spoke at the Madiba 100th anniversary. Now, I'm going to offend a lot of people, but I'm not a fan of Beyonce, and I actually quite dislike Oprah's philosophy on life and work. Why would the Mandela Institution associate themselves with people who are effectively representatives of crass consumerism to celebrate a man's centenary?
I think that they can answer that for themselves.
Yes. But what is your view, Khadija?
My view is that it's been a highlight for me for this week to see how excited people are about this, and I think that it's wonderful that there's something for people to be excited about and happy about, and that's wonderful. But I think that I'm always very skeptical about making messiahs out of people like pop stars, when in fact their politics may actually reveal themselves to be rather predatory. And they are part of a predatory elite. And while we may, enjoy their music or their movies, or, in the case of someone like Oprah, maybe we, enjoy listening to her interview people and enjoy, the person and the power that she has amassed through her work. I think that it's always healthy to, offer some skepticism for these people. And what they represent. And I think that it does also point out some of the weaknesses that we have as a nation in celebrating the legacy of Madiba and what he has come to represent for South Africans, and that he has become somewhat of a Disneyland version of himself almost.
Yes.
And so and that kind of caricature of Madiba is just prone to being associated with things like this.
Peter, do you like Beyonce?
Quite frankly, I know nothing about the Beyonce concert, I'm proud to say. And if somebody played me her greatest hit, I wouldn't recognize it.
Oh, okay.
I can't believe that people are... there was a whole program about how to get there tonight.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. There's an interesting Sunday Times lead, I thought, back to a politics lead, which I totally approve of. ANC officials muzzling Jacob Zuma supporters at the trial in return for Jacob Zuma being able to campaign openly for the ANC. What do you think of that?
It certainly points to, again, the very difficult position the ANC is in. And the fact that Jacob Zuma's court appearances could well become a nightmare, and have already become somewhat of a nightmare for the ANC. So the ANC is forced into this position where it somehow still needs to placate, the Zuma sympathizers within its party, but also within its within the electorate.
Was there a big crowd there? I mean, I heard between 1,000 and 500 people.
And that's substantial. It is substantial.
Really?
I think it is. I think it is.
That's like the...
For a postponement.
That's like the EFF crowd outside town.
No, I think that was smaller, though. I think the EFF crowd was smaller, actually, and that's why I think it is significant. But I think that, what was also significant, I'm not sure if either of you saw the Kuruleni Mayor's comments last night or yesterday about the fact that the Democratic government is humiliating this old man. What do you want? And this is somebody who is a very senior person within the party. So even though the ANC, at least the top brass in the ANC are making moves to try to find a common ground between everybody, there certainly is a significant number of people within the party who feel that Jacob Zuma is being treated unfairly. And I think that is something that the party will have to continue managing.
I think for me, Khadija, thank you very much. We've come to the kind of end of our segment. I wanted to make this remark to you, Peter. I think the issue around Zuma for the ANC is a fundamental issue. It's not just a question of tactics for me. If the ANC is serious about wanting to run the country as a constitutional state, wanting to be a rules-bound organization, wanting to be an organization that is a home for all the people like the Freedom Charter says, South Africa belongs to all who live in it, black and white. It has to break with President Jacob Zuma. It can't trade off his popularity versus, him having the right to campaign. He's a man who is being accused day in and day out on national television at the Zondo Commission of Inquiry of literally outsourcing his executive responsibility to a private family.
The Sunday Times story seems to be based on a fear of what will happen at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban on January 8th when they have their annual thing, where you could have the equivalent of Jacob Zuma being booed at Nelson Mandela's funeral to Cyril Ramaphosa, which wouldn't be.
Well, politicians need to develop some thick skins. We're going into a very tough election. Booing is part of politics. It's been part of politics for a very long time. But I think at the level of rebuilding the state, rebuilding state institutions, but more than that, connecting with trust with voters. There has to be a line in the stand about President Jacob Zuma. He cannot hold the organization ransom. The ANC must choose the people of South Africa, not Jacob Zuma. And that, for me, is really important. And that points to the kind of leadership that we require. The tactical moves we can work on. And by the way, KwaZulu-Natal isn't wholly behind Jacob Zuma. There are many people in KwaZulu-Natal that don't support him. He's able to bring out, like if the crowd, it excites us, we go there and we get the stuff, and we make him out to be something that he really isn't. So President Jacob Zuma is at his weakest, both legally and politically. The ANC needs to put its foot down, quite frankly.
The other thing it needs to do, what needs to happen in the next 2 weeks, and I can't remember the date, I think it's the 12th actually of December, is that is the deadline for Ramaphosa to appoint a new NPA head.
Absolutely, and that is, of course, the critical issue, because that is the person that's going to have the gumption to go after all of these people.
Well, he's got to have the gumption to appoint the right person first.
Well,
right?
I'm rooting for the two women, I must tell you outrightly. I think they are my top favorites. I think they have shown their leadership skills, but more importantly, Peter...
But you don't want to put them into the pit with the lions. You've got to clear out the NPA around them, so they've got people to operate with that they can function with.
Absolutely. Khadija, I'm going to give you the last word. Who would you like to see appointed as the NPA head?
Look, I don't think I have a particular favorite, but like you, I would prefer to see a woman. I think that it is important, but really what we're looking for really is qualities. And I think that we need...
The two women on the thing are far and away the best candidates anyway.
We're looking for somebody who is going to be strong, somebody who is not going to be swayed by politicians as they come and go, somebody with integrity, and somebody who is going to actually ensure that this institution is rebuilt.
Yes, I think that's the critical issue, because like you say, even if you put a strong person in, if you don't put troops around them to actually
Well, the president appoints the deputy NDPPs as well, so he's got to move them.
Exactly, and of course, I mean, if someone like Moiponi Noko could think that she could be on a short list, then you know the kinds of problems you're sitting with. So this person will have to be quite ruthless and really cut out the cancer in the NPA and get on with the job and issue some...
Could happen this week. I mean, he comes back from Argentina. Tonight or tomorrow morning?
So that's a big news that we will be waiting for. Well, that's your fix for this week. Take care and have a good rest of your Sunday.